Hello fellow humans and welcome to another episode of Your Replays, this time with this piece of vehicle. It does have 7 degrees of gun depression, which is somewhat unusual for a Soviet tank, but it has 185 millimeters of penetration, which makes it immediately not worth buying whatsoever. However, how are you going to get the maximum out of a vehicle like this, or any of them? This is what we're going to have a look at today. Now, ideally, you don't want to do what that guy does, and you also don't want to peek in this vehicle because the armor isn't really that good. So stay away from enemy guns. Just shoot them when they're not looking at you. That's really the easiest thing to have and to think of. Just don't look, don't peek when the enemy is looking at you, because as long as you have more patience, if you have more skill, then you're going to win out in the end. All you have to do is have a little bit of patience, and that enemy, they're not going to sit there and stare at you for half a minute. If there's another teammate around of yours, they're probably going to try to focus on that. So have a bit of patience, and then they're going to look away. And eventually, you're going to get a free shot, because the way to do average damage, it's not that much to do that. All you need is 5-6 shots with a vehicle like this, and then you've already have attained average damage. And to find those is what I task you with, because that's what you should try to do. Try to be as fast at getting average damage as you can, right? Because if you can get average damage quickly, then you can use the rest of the battle to do more damage. So try to find those 4 or 5 shots towards ideally the beginning of the battle, because with a tank like this, it's fast enough, and at the beginning of the battle, it's always chaotic. Like, everyone's trying to hustle to some position and trying to get wherever they want to be. And that is a great time to, once you start to understand where the birds migrate, or rather where the noobs migrate in Blitz, once you start to see that, you will simply find very easy routes for 1-2 shots that are essentially just free. Like, for example, up the hill on mines, all you have to do, just hold your gun there. Someone's going to drive up, you're going to get a free shot, and then you're off. But now, 2 versus 5. That is not good. However, the Scepter there, I don't quite understand what he's trying to achieve there, because he just unloaded his entire magazine. Is now busy. He's trying to get out, but he really can't, because T20 decides to push and die with no HP. So all I advise you is, if you're low HP, if you're a one-shot, don't push into a vehicle that's looking at you. But by the way, like, here's the thing. Most of Blitz is down to 2 things: common sense and tactical knowledge. Tactical knowledge does take quite a while. I mean, it took me about 3 to 4 years to get any good at this game, given that I started playing the game on an iPhone 4. That wasn't really surprising that I sucked, but it does take quite a bit to start to learn and understand what the game is really about. But once you're there, all you need is a little bit of common sense. And to be fair, the whole re here does have common sense, trying to simply cap at the base. Don't try to play the hero and push forward and then lose. But unfortunately, he sort of positioned himself wrong, because he kind of could have seen Lorenzo being towards the hill. So what is the most likely avenue of approach of a vehicle that is near the hill? Well, I mean, it's the hill. Like we said, common sense. If you see a guy hill, then he might be hill, but he might also not be if he's a good player. So if you're a good player, you're never where the enemy thinks you are. And if you're a bad player, you're always where the enemy thinks you are. So ideally, play from a place where you're not going to be seen. Speaking of seeing, I'm seeing a ghost, or otherwise also known as the Dracula, a vehicle that used to absolutely terrorize tier 6s many, many years ago, but has since somewhat faded into obscurity, given that tier 7 is now filled with unbalanced garbage. So it has fallen off, but it is still a very capable vehicle for its tier, especially in a tier 6 match like this one. And we're gonna see a banger here. Now, the biggest downsides of the tank is essentially its abysmal accuracy and also its complete lack of armor. However, it does have spaced armor in a lot of places, so don't really try to shoot HE at this vehicle. It's not going to work. Now, is it better than the Forest Witch? In a good player's hands, absolutely. Then here's the problem with the World of Tanks Blitz in that regard. You cannot have an infinite amount of variables. There is always a point where you're going to have everything down. You've tried everything. You've done everything. And if you get to that point, you're a good player. Because you know what's going to happen. Because you've already seen it happen. Just watch what's going on. Look through the world with open eyes. Because if you get shot, if you die, and you know why you died, or, for example, if you also know what you did right, like you killed an enemy, and then what you did, if you know what you did, you can see it, and you can repeat it, and then you're gonna get a very good player, because that's really everything. Just pay attention, and then you're gonna get a good player. There's no magic to it. That's just how it is now. There is a little bit of magic in the Dracula, though, because this vehicle, it has magic tracks, as in you can't really blow them off. You also have emergency track on some American and Soviet vehicles, but that is not as good as this, because you kind of can't track this vehicle. But the enemy team are unfortunately tracking down the team here, and it is now, again, a 3 versus 6. Absolutely destroyed right here. But we saw it in the last game, and we might see it again. If you want to see it again, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well if you want to see more videos like this, or other stuff as well, like tier lists, for example. And now, to be full, it's manageable, it's doable, especially that Magnate is stock, another thing that you eventually start seeing once you have no life and spend thousands of hours on this game. You will essentially understand that, that gun doesn't look upgraded. That's a stock gun. That's a stock turret. Very easy. Or, for example, this guy is moving slower than a T-54 should be. He must be stock. And that's all things that you get and that you eventually learn by simply paying attention. And also by having a pretty good memory of stuff. That certainly helps. So I can only talk about my experience here, essentially. But what is your experience with learning World of Tanks Blitz? What was the hardest thing you had to learn in Blitz? Or what is the hardest thing you're trying to learn in World of Tanks Blitz? Put it down in the comments. Maybe I'll make a video about it. We'll see. Because sub replays are very lovely. Because y'all are already very good players, I see, on my Discord server. So if you haven't joined my Discord server yet and haven't put your replays on there yet, I highly recommend doing that, because these replays are just wonderfully played in most cases. However, if you're not quite there yet, put it in the comments. What would you like to learn, or what would you like to try to learn in this game? But now, 1 versus 3. And now it becomes again important, as always. In any 1vx situation, or in any situation, really, easiest target first, right? When you can take out a gun, you take out that gun. You have one enemy already neutralized. They can't hurt you anymore. Take out the easiest target first. But then you take out the most dangerous target. If you don't have an easy target to take out, let's say a one-shot that's peeking you, then you simply have to go for the target that's the most dangerous. In this case, that is the Annihilator, which can finish off Zedan here with a single weapon. Now, a little bit of a misjudgment there, peeking up. It does work, bringing that guy down onto a one-shot. However, now the margin is absolutely gone for the Annihilator. But there's the luck! Unfortunately, I can't teach you how to be lucky. That doesn't work. But whatever you want to know, put it in the comments. And now, 101 HP, 1v3. Still there. This Annihilator, I mean, what the enemy could ideally and should ideally do here is all 3 of them simply go into the position that the Annihilator is, and then all 3 go up the hill together, because they all do have the mobility to get up, so they should all get up together. But instead, the Magnate just decides to peek and lose, and now the Annihilator gets stuck, which doesn't help. at all. Sometimes you need the luck. Sometimes you need a bad enemy team. And you don't have to be that good at this game to have a bad enemy team. Because as long as you can capitalize off players that are worse than you, you're going to be an average, above average player. So obviously at the beginning, you're going to be the one that's going to get taken advantage of. However, as you progress with your World of Tanks Blitz career, and as you hopefully learn and improve, then you will find yourself more and more players that you know you are better than. And that's what it's kind of about. You see that you can win a fight, you fight that fight. If you know that you can't win, you get out of there. It's very easy to do in a Dracula. It's also a very nice replay. Thank you for sending in. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.